Do you find it weird that Michael and I come to you guys and say we're such big fans? Do you think your audience is like younger, older, mid, or
Guys,
is it just all over the place?
I want the juice. I got a lot of questions.
Whoa, you're dialed in. Are you all caught up?
I'm all caught up.
That's a lot of baggage. Do you need a hug or something?
No, I mean, do you need a hug?
I need a hug. It is all over the place. No. It's literally grandmas, young girls, husbands, single men. I mean, across the board.
Chrissy Teigen.
Were
you freaking when you saw that?
Yeah.
We got a lot of love over the years from Chrissy. I'm not sure if she still watches, but there was a while there. She showed us a lot of love on Twitter, which she recently deleted. God bless. Twitter is a toxic wasteland. I'm not a fan.
It's a mess in there.
What is it like for a reality television star when your show comes out and you go on Twitter? Because I wouldn't even go because it's too much of a war zone.
It is, yeah.
The masochistic side of you wants to go look.
Yeah.
Like in seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, we did 5, maybe even. Katie.
I used to get wine drunk and go on Twitter and just have a field day.
She had a ritual, a dark. What would you do to yourself? Tell him, Bob.
Well, I would just make examples out of people. I don't know. I
like you would like make them look like assholes, basically.
I would just fire back.
There's nothing better than when someone says something so outlandish and something they would never fucking say to your face, and then you just go for the jugular because they set themselves up.
Yeah.
I love it.
Short term, it is a sweet release and it feels good, but the day after, you're going to regret it. You're going to be hungover.
It's like cheating on your wife.
Totally. Not that I would know what that's like, but hypothetically speaking, I'll tell
you what. I'm just kidding.
That's why mixing alcohol in comment sections is or it used to be dangerous. I have great restraint, not to toot my own horn over here, but I have pretty good restraint. I'm not easily triggered online anymore. But back in the day, Katie would have a glass of wine. And listen, if you go looking for something bad for yourself online, you're going to find it. Doesn't matter who you are. It's out there. There's somebody that hates you.
Also,
lurking.
Don't you guys feel too that people lie? Like, for instance, let me give you an example. Oh, I saw this person out at a bar and they were doing this, and they just make it up out of nothing, and then it turns into something.
You're saying accusations on social media?
Yes.
Yeah, because once the rumors stick, there's a better quote than that.
I get what you're saying though. Like once the rumor's out there, it becomes.
It's all that matters. Yeah, it takes on a life of its own, and it's significantly harder to rebuke.
I think it's more about people just sort of, not the fan fiction, but people sort of coming up with their own theories of like who we are based off of, what they see on the show.
You have to have a pretty fucking solid relationship to go on reality television. And you guys have been such a good example of someone who I think I look at you guys as such a good example of someone who have stuck together and really made it through. Even Heather was on our podcast from Utah, Real Housewives of Utah. And she said the nicest thing, the nicest things about Tom, just how sweet he is and how he like helps finesse the energy, and just he's like such a charming, nice guy. But you guys have been able to just like really be a team. Do you look at it like that? Is it like a discussion that you have behind the scenes?
No. And also, like, I don't think at times we've been a team. I feel like oftentimes he's against me.
I don't think people look at Katie Maloney and Tom Schwartz and think couple goals.
No.
But here's the thing.
No.
I don't agree.
We're a testament to working through it and putting effort, time, energy, and going to therapy and just like fighting through all the hard stuff and enduring through the best of times and the worst of times.
I think
we're tried and tested. We've been through pretty much everything. Well,
how old were you guys when you started the show?
Oh, 26 and
so young.
30. Yeah.
You're still young.
And we had been together for a little over 2 years, or about 2 years. So, but we've been very authentic and realistic about our relationship. We haven't ever tried to pretend or present ourselves as like this perfect couple. We haven't tried to sweep things under the rug. We've been like, we suck. But we're trying.
That's what makes you guys' show though so good, is I feel like the whole cast is like that.
Yeah.
No one's trying to have this facade of perfection. It feels like, I could look at this relationship and say, we do that at home, or we're like, therapy. Like it's a relatable.
Yeah, it's raw and honest, and very rarely do people, contrive themselves. And if you do self-produce, people are quick to call you out, and it never translates on camera. It won't, like, those type of edits get canned. But yeah, our shows. It's traumatic while you're filming it. You kind of hate yourself. If you don't hate yourself by the end of the season, you didn't do your job.
Yeah.
That's what we. That's
And how many seasons have you done?
8. So there's a lot of self-loathing.
Yeah.
So how did you guys meet? I want to go way back.
Oh, yeah. So I started working at SIR just down the road. And I'd become good friends with Kristen and Stassi. And Kristen was like, I want you to meet my boyfriend, Tom Sandoval at the time, his roommate. I think he would just be such a good match for you. You're like the female counterpart to him. And I was like, oh, like, what's his story? What does he do? She's like, well, he's an actor model. And I was like, I'm going to stop you right there. No, thank you. I'm like, I've already dated like all of those. I don't want anything to do with that. And she's like, no.
Aspiring
And
model actor.
I'd been in LA for like 4 or 5 years, and I was obviously like very jaded at that point, but she definitely like wore me down. She's like, no. And so finally one night, I think it was like after work at SIR, we went over to the Belmont, and she's like, he's going to come meet up with us. I was like, okay, great. And he comes and meets up with us, and he has a girl with him.
Yeah.
And I was like, Kristen, I'm going to beat your ass. What the hell is happening? He's got a chick with him. And she goes, I don't know who that girl is. I promise. It's not his girlfriend. Da, da, da. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, we don't have a fairy tale beginning. It wasn't love at first sight.
Well, I know. I was.
It was like, she's cute.
I thought you were more than cute, and you thought I was more than cute. Let's face it. But no, but we did, we clicked for sure.
No, we did. There was some chemistry brewing, but I denied it. And I stuffed it down deep because I was way too concerned about my professional life here. I just resigned from my job, and I worked for a distributor in Florida, yada, yada, yada. Moved out here with $3,000. That's all I had in my little Honda Civic. And I was like, I cannot afford to be distracted with love or a relationship. It just felt like it was a massive distraction in my pursuit of glory.
And I had been drugged through the mud by like countless dudes. So I was like, ugh, do I really want to date another vapid model actor dude? I don't think so. So we just like, started like hooking up casually for like 3 months, and then caught feelings. And one day I was like, do you want to go to lunch? And I asked him to be my boyfriend. And he's like, I don't know if I'll be a very good one. And I was like, that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
His personality
I'm about to
is so
tear up,
sweet.
guys.
I know, it's cute.
It's not the most romantic story. Come on.
So, Katie, is this before or after? And I know you've talked about this on the show. You had your fall.
Yeah, this was after. This was about less than a year after. I met you about 8 months after.
Are you open to telling the audience about how traumatic that was? I feel like people that watch the show, I know you've talked about it on the show, but I think you and I had similar experiences. Yours was way more traumatic than mine. But afterwards, I had an identity crisis. I don't know if you had the same thing. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror for 3 years.
I mean, yeah, there was that aspect of it because of the whole cosmetic, portion of it. But having a traumatic brain injury is altering to your personality, for sure. But after my accident, I was so focused on healing physically that the emotional healing didn't set in for a while. And then it started coming up in forms of, PTSD. I had survivor's guilt for sure. I had bouts of like depression that would come and go. I didn't handle anger very well.
Yeah, she had like a hairline trigger. Did I say that right?
What's survivor's guilt? I don't know what that is.
So essentially when you survive something, I fell 25 feet and had, and walked away. I have minimal scarring and, yes, I do have I had a brain injury, but most people wouldn't survive something.
How did you fall?
I was at my friend's house. We went on the roof and I sat on a skylight, which sounds idiotic, but it was a big skylight, and I wasn't jumping up and down on it. I sat on like the edge of it basically, and it was an old building. It was old glass, and it just gave.
And do you remember waking up?
I mean, later on in the hospital.
So you don't remember falling?
No.
You don't remember the ride to the hospital or anything, right?
Like in a weird dream like way.
Fever dream.
There's, thank God for trauma, amnesia. I don't remember any kind of pain. I don't remember anything like that. But I do have like kind of like flashes in a dream like way of like feeling cold. I do almost remember like cutting like my clothes off. Like
you remember them cutting your clothes off?
Like feeling like the cold air on my body, like because they have to cut your clothes off of you.
What about the aftermath? Like, was it as your trauma was like crazy, but was the aftermath just as traumatic?
Yeah, I mean, I was like, there was so much morphine in my system leaving my body that like in the weeks passing, it was just like I was so lethargic, and it wasn't really that intense of a time. My mom came and she was like helping me, but I had my jaw wired shut, and I was, I had a lot of like ribs that were broken and collarbone that was broken, so I wasn't able to sit up out of bed or do anything. I wasn't able to like shower or wash
Somebody ordered
my hair.
pancakes. She just sipped the scissor.
Very Kanye West of me. Yeah, so I mean, I had lost some of my teeth in the front of my mouth, so I had like a nice little hole for a straw. And so, I mean, there was just, I feel like I had a pretty positive attitude about it all. I was just so thankful that I wasn't paralyzed, that, the outcome of it was relatively good, pretty unscathed. And just was so focused on just getting back to my life, But once I got back to my life, I didn't feel like whole. I didn't feel like myself, and that took some time to like fully realize. And it took years of never really getting back to myself. And that kind of started to come out in different ways and, over time, again, of just anger, short-fused.
And then you put a camera on it to like
yeah.
double down on everything you're going through, and they get every little thing and then edit it together.
Yep.
I do think it's important as a viewer of the show for people to understand that it's a 30-minute or an hour show. I mean, that's all they're seeing of a whole life and a whole, like what you just said, this whole story that you've gone through even before being on the show.
Yeah. There's a lot of backstory there.
Yeah.
You're seeing slices of usually the highest and the lowest moments of our lives, and some stuff in between. But yeah, it's polarized, and we like to think that it's just one facet of our multifaceted gemstone of a personality.
Let me ask you guys this, because when you all start, obviously you're going in as a really tight group, which is what I think makes this show great, because so many shows go and they put these people together and it's like, who the hell is that? I don't know who that. But you guys were actually all friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like best friends, right?
I think that was the secret, amongst other things. So many great things came together, lightning in a bottle. But I think one of the keys to the show's success is that deep well of history to pull from. We were all dating each other. Honestly, before we started filming, it was worse. It was more dramatic. It was a never-ending nightmare of highs and lows. If anything, we sort of tamed down a little bit once the show started.
Tell us something untamed that happened before the show. How can anything more like what? How can anything happen before that's not?
When Jax was dating Stassi.
Oh yeah,
and then
Jax.
Tom was dating Kristen, and I was dating Katie. So it's like these three best friends hanging out with three best friends, and like we always sort of inherited and adopted each other's quarrels and fights, and it was just a never-ending, strange like love triangle.
Yeah. I remember one night, me and Stassi were like, let's have a girls' night in at the apartment that Jax and Stassi shared. And we're like, okay, yay. And then Tom and Jax decided they were going to have a guys' night out, and they were going to pregame at Jax and Stassi's place where we were hanging out. And they were like having shots together in front of me and Stassi in our when we were trying to like have our nice quiet girls' night in. And we were like, what the fuck are these guys doing in front of us? And they were making these shots called relationship enders in front of us, kind of like taunting us almost. And then they proceeded to like go to the Hudson, and we were
What
like,
is a relationship ender shot?
Oh, I actually remember the
it was
recipe.
like Four Loko.
So I
something.
I was being I was just joking around. I'm being facetious.
You
But I was
were
like, I'm going to
antagonizing
name
us.
this one the relationship ender. It was, by the way, I don't drink Four Locos, but that night we had a Four Loco, so I utilized it. It was Four Loco. It was acai juice, soda water, and a little bit of tequila.
Why don't you bring those?
Next time.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, we made them. And sorry to steal the ending of your story.
Okay,
But later
well,
that
no,
night,
that's not
That's
the end.
important to
No,
the story.
no.
I needed to know. I needed to know what a relationship
Well,
ender
that's not
was.
that story. So then they're like, all right, peace out. We're going to the Hudson. And me and Stassi look at us. They're like, first of all, not only did they hijack our time and our like girls' night in, they antagonized us by like pre-gaming their night out and like making these stupid shots called relationship enders. We're going to go show up. Why don't we go show up at their cute little guys' night out? And so we showed up at the Hudson and we're like, hi, guys. This was all before the show, and they were not happy to see us.
The Hudson used to
And
go
then-
off back in the day.
Hey, she's missing. Then we broke up that night, so they do work. The relationship ender is very potent and effective.
Why don't you bottle a tequila called Tom Tom's Relationship Ender?
You got to do
we'll
it
call
now.
You guys, can we
The
hang
Tequila
out sometime
Katie
soon and test?
relationship ender.
Yeah.
Test.
Yeah.
Tequila-
Test the recipe.
I'm about to go home and make some tonight.
So when did you guys get approached to be on the show, and immediately did you want to be on the show? It seems like it took Tom longer to lean into wanting to be on the show.
Well, because the show was a spin-off of, Lisa being on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So they had called like a staff meeting at SUR, and we didn't know what it was about. I thought it was because we were about to open up the lounge at SUR, and Lisa was there and Natalie was there and Guillermo, and they're like, so we're gonna be doing a show here with, we want the staff involved, we want you guys involved, so we want to be talking to you, anyone who is interested.
I need a detail. Were you wearing the outfits that, like, what? Why you're
Sandra
having this
Pay dresses?
Yeah. Are you wearing the Sandra Pay dresses
At
Wow.
that time?
Yeah.
No, we were just wearing, it was just a
Okay,
meeting.
Go ahead.
But those were in rotation.
But yeah, we did wear those Saturday nights. But
I remember one thing I loved that just was so striking about those. You can put them in your hand and squeeze it, and it
Yeah.
fully fits.
I thought you were gonna say you can put the ass of all the girls in your hand, and it was just like a nice hard
no,
walnut.
He's like, cut,
I will say though, when I first started working there, I had the regular dress that we wore every other night, and then it was my first, shift working a Saturday night, and I was like, I need the Saint Tropez dress, the Saturday night dress, and he handed it to me in just his fist, and handed it to me, and I was like, is there anything
Who
else?
knows what he did in the dress?
Is
to
there
make
anything
it
else?
Be
And he's
so
like,
squished up. He
no.
might have used it in the bathroom,
Oh,
thinking
Jesus.
about you in that dress.
I mean, like, imagine someone hands you a tissue and is like, here's your uniform.
And there might have been a tissue in it.
A crunchy-
Okay, so you're sitting in your
Okay.
jeans and your top.
We're just sitting there and they're like, so we will be just one-on-one talking to each of you who are interested. Because, there's not everyone who works there is forced or has to be a part of the show. Of course, absolutely. But me and Kristen and Stassi, of course, looked at each other and were like, haha,
The witches
yeah.
of WeHo.
Yeah. Knowing kind of like the story I just told you, the shit that's gone on in our lives with, we're three best friends who are dating three best friends. We're like, yo, they don't even know what they have. So I went first, actually. We drew numbers because they didn't know exactly how to sit us down in what order. I went down first and I was like, they ask questions like, so like, who are you friends with? Who do you date? Or who do you hate? Who have you slept with? All those things. And when I sit there and say like, well, I'm best friends with Chris and Stassi and our boyfriends are all best friends and blah, 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 they're just like,
We
holy
had essentially
shit.
filmed Vanderpump Rules before there was Vanderpump Rules, minus the
Yeah.
cameras. Yeah, we were living it.
Again,
And they just-
lightning in a bottle. They didn't even know what was already
And is
happening
Tom
there.
at SUR working?
He was at Villa Blanca working.
Villa Blanca working.
So he wasn't working at either places. So that's why he wasn't quite like involved right away.
And also, I thought I had too much artistic integrity. I was like, no, I'm an actor. I would
Let's
never.
hear about the artistic integrity.
Okay, first of all, I maybe booked one Southwest commercial. And I did background on like CSI a few times.
Dos Equis.
Oh yeah. But no, like just in my mind, there was still a stigma attached to reality TV, which now it's like everyone, that's awesome. I love it. And I have so much respect for it having done it. But like in that moment in time, like even though I hadn't had a ton of success in my professional career, commercial acting and print stuff, I still loved it and was very passionate about it. And I felt like that would be the end of any dreams of becoming an actor. By the way, I was not a good actor. I'm still not. Love it still. I was in the classes. I was taking all kinds of intensives, comedy intensives, and I loved it. And I still do love it. But yeah, like I had no real shot at becoming an actor. But in that moment, it was very high stakes decision, I was like, because I remember the irony of me watching shows like The Hills growing up. And I remember like audibly, I was be outspoken about my opinion. I'd be like, this show is awful. I hate shows like this. I would never do a show like that. And in that moment, I jinxed myself because cut to 10 years later, and we're doing a show with the same executive producer from The Hills, who we love. Shout out to Bill Langworthy, one of the best to ever do it. We love him at Evolution. Anyways, I think I jinxed myself back when I was watching The Hills. Now I'm going on a tangent.
No, I love this.
No,
I love
this
the.
is-
I'm obsessed with the tangent. So, did you guys get immediately cast? Like when they hear all the different dynamics and spider webs that are happening and everything, are they like, "This is it"?
I mean, it's basically
They had to.
I
They
mean,
had to.
Yeah,
It was
I mean,
undeniable.
Yeah.
And it readily, like, it revealed itself in such a dramatic, fabulous way, like,
Let me tell you why. I mean, like someone like me, I probably had the same kind of outlook on reality TV growing up as you did. We all like
You
similar age.
fucking love
No,
Housewives.
but let me say,
Don't fucking lie.
no, I do now. I'm in the world now. I'm in it. But a show like yours, for someone like me, I was on the outside. Like that sucks you into that because you cannot. Like it's on. No offense, but it is such a shit show. What's going on? There's so many different crazy characters.
Sipping tea, watching, eating popcorn.
I sit there looking alone. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? I'm like, how'd this happen? How'd this happen? Like, what's going on? I'm in it.
I would argue that you guys have two of the best reality show villains that I've ever seen, Jax and James.
Yeah, I would agree with you
Yeah.
100%. Jax is, he is one
You
of the...
can't write these people.
Yeah, I know.
No.
He's in it, like, I mean, Jax, I've been friends with him, a long time, and there's only one Jax Taylor on the planet.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, I always am reminded of that quote from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas when he's talking about his lawyer as a high-powered mutant, never even considered for mass production. He's a one of a kind, and I mean, I could go on for Jax about hours, but anyways, you were saying Jax is great. He's great.
Tell us a story about when you and Tom and Jax lived together. Didn't you guys all live together?
Me, Sandoval, and Kristen lived together.
Oh, tell us a story
But
about
wait,
that.
even Jax
Oh, and
and
Jack.
Tom.
So yeah, I met Tom on Craigslist. I'll give
Yeah,
you like,
I want the background.
so I met Tom on Craigslist, roommate seeking roommate. We ended up, I didn't know anybody in LA. Packed everything in my 2003 Honda Civic.
It was
moved out
between
here.
Tom and a stripper.
Yeah, and she was the more financially stable, like the safe choice. But he took a gamble on me because we had the same initials. No joke.
Is that true?
Yeah, he's like, I don't know, I just felt a connection with you. Yeah. So, and then, within 2 months, Jackson ended up moving in, and Tom, came to me and he's like, hey, I think one of my buddies from back in our old school modeling days, Miami's gonna move with us. And I'll never forget what I said in that moment. I was like, as long as he's not too big of a presence. And then in walks the loudest mother effer that I've ever met in my life, the human yellow Hummer, Jax Taylor. And we hit it off immediately though. And yeah,
He had a
yeah,
sheet for a wall
Yeah.
in the living room.
Yeah.
And he pulled so many girls.
Yeah. It was never a deterrent. He had the sheet.
I mean,
for
he's
the-
a handsome man.
He's super handsome.
Okay, this is like way backstory, but when I first launched the blog in, I think it was like 2010, I was looking for girls to interview, and no one would say yes to me because I was like, no one knew what the blog was. So I would go on Facebook and like find girls to interview and get their diet tips and tricks and secrets. And so Nikki Davison, who I think you know.
Yeah.
I was friends with her on Facebook, and I see like Stassi pop up on like her, like, remember they had like the top 8 or like your favorites like back in the day.
Yeah.
So I click Stassi and I'm like, oh, this girl's perfect. Like, she's beautiful. She's so cute. I'm going to reach out and email her. And for some reason, I'm like, this girl's going to be famous. Email her all the questions. She sends them back to me. And then I started stalking her and I'm like, oh my God, her boyfriend is so cute. I'm like, he looks so normal and cool. And like, he has it together. Like, this guy is so cute. Jax. So cute. Like way later when you guys have the show, this is like 5 years later. And it was just like so wild to see the evolution of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was right about him being so stable together.
He's come a long way, I'll say that, from where he was 10 years ago. But it feels like, I don't know if I believe in destiny, but like people like Jax, I feel like he was destined to be on reality TV. He was meant to be. He really shines the brightest on reality TV. And Stassi and Bub, I don't feel like I'm great on reality TV.
You're amazing.
Well, you know the best thing about Jax, I mean, he's fit for reality. He's such a crazy character. But then when James came on, it was like almost like, how did these two crazy people? And it's almost unbelievable because they're both so, I mean this in the best way. They're both so fucking out there, and all of a sudden they're in there and they're both so unself-aware that they're both so out there, and it's just a wild.
When they first met like years ago, now like again, they've both come so far, like put so much work into themselves. You know, James is sober now. He's just blowing up DJing. But like back in the day, yeah, he was a loose cannon and he's so lippy. He's got the sharpest tongue ever. And him versus Jax was always just like a sight to behold.
He also has such a sharp jawline. I've never seen a sharper jawline, and that is a compliment. Like, people go and get their jaw filled to look like James's jaw.
Goals.
Yeah, goals.
For sure. For sure. But Jax and James were so much alike in ways. I think that's why they like butted heads. Like yes.
It makes total sense.
Yeah.
It makes total sense. So going back to when you guys get casted, did you guys know when you get casted what you were getting into? And did you know how big the show was going to be? And what are you guys thinking when you start filming? I would love to know like the evolution of like when you started to now.
I mean, there's no way to know what you're getting into. Absolutely not. There's no manual for this shit. We just knew that we had to just live our lives, be complete open books. We knew that what we told them about our lives was the reason why they were interested, and so we had to just do the damn thing.
I think you guys I don't know if it was unspoken or spoken, but there was a more or less like a pact, like we're going all in on this. At least with them, all like everybody, the primary cast. I was on the fence, wary, unsure, per usual. But yeah, they all were like, you guys were all in.
Yeah, we were just like, we're just going to fucking do this. Like we're just going to try to, I mean, we weren't going to like try to make a good show. We were just like, we just have to like live as authentically as possible. That's the only way that this show is going to ever be successful.
So after the first season comes out, you guys go back to your jobs, living your normal life. When do you guys both remember a time when you had an epiphany like, oh my God, people are watching this?
Oh,
it's a great question, and I had like for the first 3 years, I didn't really make much money, and I was still kind of on the fence about being on the show. But I was still bartending, doing like catering jobs and stuff, and people will slowly after like season 2, they started recognizing me, and it's a weird place to be in, being semi-famous but still working like customer service jobs, still bartending, serving, which is fine. I love that industry, but people like started to get this. There would be this tone of like, aren't you that guy on the show? That show's like huge. Why are you bartending? Why are you serving? Even though everyone on the show is servers, still, it was just, I don't know. It was a very strange.
They expect you to be way more well off at that
something,
point.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it.
Because I was the only one who didn't really work in the restaurant, but it was a weird time for me. I felt lost.
Yeah.
And I'm that was the most lost I've ever felt in LA as the show was blowing up.
It's hard to pinpoint the exact moment because it was like a sort of like slow build of like when people like started recognizing when you go out, they would recognize you but wouldn't place you right away. They'd be like,
Did we go to high school
Did
together?
you go to Cal Poly? And I'm
Yeah.
like, no.
And are
They'd
they
be like,
nice or are they?
yeah,
Mostly
no,
nice.
but they wouldn't know where they recognize you from, and then they'd like, where do I know you from? And they'd be like, oh, do you watch Bravo? And they were like, oh my god, and you're like, yeah, but
It took off season
I
2.
think when it was like got really crazy when you realize is when it caught the attention of like people like Chrissy Teigen
And
or, like,
Rihanna.
like celebrities, like people that I admired for so long and was fans of. When they became fans, that's when I was like, oh my god, like this is
I think
really
SNL
surreal.
did a skit alluding to Jax. Jax was, they had a Jax character. I forget the skit, but that was a huge moment, a game-changing moment.
When it started popping up in like pop culture sort of
we were
things like
parodied.
that, like parodied in that way, like that's when it started like more mainstreamed that way.
And everyone at some point in their lives, well, I think most people go through a scenario with their friends like, oh my God, we should be on TV. Or like, oh my God, what if we had our own, what if they filmed us, like your group of friends, and all of a sudden it was happening. And it was terrifying.
Yeah.
What about a moment where it was like so much recognition at once, like people like coming up to you like a mob almost? Was there anything like that, or is it more like people come up to you like slowly here and there, or they're shy?
We did do something called a Vandercrawl in New York.
Oh
That
my God,
was our Beatles moment.
Wait, tell me about that. I want to know like every single detail.
It was, I think it was after like season 4 maybe, and it was Bravo did it as like a promotion, and we did in New York around, I think it was around the West Village.
Yeah.
We went to like 4 different bars, and they invited people, or people could buy tickets, and we literally did a bar crawl.
And you guys are just drinking with everybody?
And bartending.
And bartending.
Okay.
Yeah, slinging
so
drinks, hanging out, but like it was
hanging out.
madness. There was 1,000 people in line screaming our names. It was so jolting.
I felt like a Backstreet Boy. I felt like
Yeah.
Britney Spears. Like
Yeah.
it was that was a surreal moment where we had like security, where we had like something like that, and it was wild. It was.
Did you like it?
Because I did feel safe. It was really cool.
What if you guys are
experience.
sitting down eating dinner and you're in a deep conversation and someone comes up to you? Let me do an example. I never do this. I never would do this. But me and my daughter were just sitting over there, and my daughter is such a big fan. Do you mind taking a selfie?
Of course, I have no boundaries. Listen, I work at TomTom, Pump, Sir. That's like one. I have no boundaries. You can come up to me. I'll take a shot with you. We can talk about life. Tell me your problems. Katie's a little better at setting boundaries. But I'm so grateful. You might as well. I'm grateful because who knows when it could end. So we're enjoying the
It's a
wave
good attitude.
we've been riding, and
It's not that I'm not grateful. It's not that
Yeah,
but it's
yeah, yeah.
it's
I didn't mean to
sometimes
insinuate
it's
that.
not that. But it's not that. It's just like sometimes when it's like when it is that I'm like literally eating food. It's like that's the only time when I'm sitting there trying
and
to
if you're
eat my
all looking
food.
like a homeless person and you just look like so gross, and then you don't care.
I don't necessarily
care.
mind that, but
the one time you say no, they will go to Twitter or social media
Yeah.
and they will talk about it and they will make you look like an asshole, and then it picks up.
Stassi came on the podcast and said that she never said no once besides this one time that she was like at an airport and she just felt so ugly and hungover, and she said just not right now, and she said I think they went to Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is, what I don't think people understand is that sometimes like you have bad days, or sometimes you're on your period and you feel like utter shit, and like you just want to put your head down and not be bothered, It's not that you're not grateful or anything like that. It's just that like we have really bad days, or sometimes you're just like feeling really sad and depressed. And
If they get any sense of you being irritated or anything, by the way, I'm generalizing. These are generalizations, but like there's always like if they sense that you're annoyed that you ask them, there's an immediate like, who the fuck do you think you are? You're just a reality douche. Like, give it up. Like they'll turn on you. Generalizing here, but some people, I'll qualify it. Some people will turn on you so fast from like, oh my God, I love the show, to like, who the fuck do you think you are? Like,
but it has nothing to do with that. It just has something to do with just like I'm just feeling really, really in a bad way today, and I just need to like be left alone.
that's Katie every day.
No, it's not. Oh my God.
That's what Michael would say about me.
Let me ask you this. As this is growing, because you guys are all starting out as just best friends, like I would say normal people, quotations, like we're just everyday people. But how do you start managing personalities and egos? It's almost like you referenced the Beatles, but it almost is like a band where it's like you start together, but then there's different trajectories for different people. It's like, hey, you're trying to like all keep it together, keep the cast, keep the show together. Well, people are trying to do their own thing. Like, how do you guys manage all that? Do you guys all get together and have a meeting, or is it like everyone for themselves? Like, fuck it. Like, how does that all transpire?
I mean, I feel like everyone has tried to keep the show, or everyone's tried to recognize that like the show comes first. The show is what keeps everyone else's, shit moving, and so to not get bigger than that, or to get bigger than anyone else, and like to keep, some kind of sense of camaraderie. We don't get together and like,
it's not like, hey guys, the Monday meeting, we're all straight.
Yeah, I don't think
No.
anyone, even though there's clearly stars on the show who shine brighter than others, but it is an ensemble. And when we're filming, people manage their egos, and there's an unspoken rule, sometimes spoken, that you just you put it all out there. You don't censor yourself. And while we're filming, all is fair and love and war and Vanderpump Rules, But after that, shine as bright as you want. Everyone's got their once the cameras are shut down and the season's over, then people's egos do flare up in different ways sometimes.
I want to talk about both of your entrepreneurial journeys. I guess I'll start with Tom. At what point did you decide you wanted to partner with Lisa and Tom and do this restaurant? Was it an idea that you and Tom had together and you approached Lisa? How did it come about?
It happened after our first wedding, which was lovely. But Lisa came to us and proposed the idea of partnering up a restaurant in West Hollywood, probably my favorite city in the world. But in that moment, I was so overwhelmed emotionally and exhausted, I declined. I can't believe I said no to Lisa Vanderpump. I don't know if you guys know that. Yeah. I don't know if they ever aired that part, but I said respectfully no. And then, we met again a few weeks later when I had time to rest and I wasn't brutally hungover. And we agreed to it. And it was awesome. It was kind of
Why
scary.
did you say no the first time?
I just...
Artistic integrity again?
I felt like I had been working my whole life to get out of the food and beverage industry,
That makes sense.
It was always a means to an end, and then I felt like it felt like another sentence of maybe 5 to 10, 20, who knows? But as I had more time to think about it, I realized what a great, possibly once in a lifetime opportunity is to get to work with the great Lisa Vanderpump and Ken Todd and have a bar in West Hollywood, like a city that's so near and dear to me, in one of the coolest locations.
Like one of the best locations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy in hindsight we did say yes, even though we're minority stakeholders. It was an opportunity to get my foot in the door, to learn, and I'm glad I did it, because it's been so rewarding in so many ways, not necessarily financially, but I've just had such a great experience in there, and it's also sort of been a catalyst for other areas of my life professionally. It sort of woke me up. I think I was in a professional slumber. I don't know.
Rip Van Winkle?
We don't have to go down that. We don't have to dissect that, but yeah, I just
You're
felt,
not in a professional slumber anymore. I mean, I think it's the hottest restaurant in LA.
It's
I feel
gotta
like
be
you
one of
guys
the
can
most
franchise-
known places in the city now.
I see people driving by and pointing at that restaurant all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, no, I'm eternally grateful. I go in there and I talk to everyone in there, and I'm like, thank you so much. I'm so grateful that people continue to come in, because you guys know this is Los Angeles. There's just some of the best chefs, the best bartenders, the best restaurateurs in the world come here. So it's hyper competitive. So to be even mentioned, on a regular basis, or know that people are coming out of town to see us is really cool.
Tom's a real humble guy.
yeah.
You got a good one.
Yeah.
You got a good one.
He's being so modest.
No, it's
I'm just being honest. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
you have your podcast.
Yeah.
You also told me earlier that you had launched lipsticks.
Yeah, this was we did when we had Pucker and Pow. I wanted to try what it would be like to have like a product. So we launched it with Julie Hewitt, who's like a makeup artist and lipstick queen ourselves, and so we did that, just like a limited run of lipsticks,
And it sold out, right?
Yeah,
Of course.
but it was just like a fun thing. So just to play around with products, I'm always like trigger shy when it comes to stuff like that, because I'm definitely like risk adverse and scared of failing at things, because I'm not necessarily a perfectionist, but when I do things, I want to do them very well.
I see that. I feel like you two are the friend that everyone goes to help plan their party and their baby shower, and like it seems like you're very organized and detail oriented.
Yeah.
It can become a cop out though, like perfectionism, at least in my life. Like there's so many things I wanted to do, and I just felt like I wasn't going to be able to execute the way I wanted to. And they're just lost, dusty notes in my iPhone. And like this year, I'm getting rid of my inner critic. He's taking a year off. I'm going to go for it. Wait, I don't want to make this about me. You talk now.
No, I love this. This is like therapy. I get the perfectionism thing, and Michael's like more like Tom. Like he's like, "Come on, like do it," and it's like, "No, I need this detail right and this detail." But we would like some kind of makeup kit from you, because your makeup's always on point.
Check out those brows.
Yeah. I know the brows. I think that's the first thing I asked you when I saw you in person.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, okay. Well, I do get a little help. I do have some microblading going on, but minimal. I mean, I was born with a unibrow. What can I say?
No, you look like you almost like have like a ponytail lift. They look so good. You know,
what's a ponytail lift?
You know how Bella Hadid and Gigi Hadid have like the cat eye lift?
Oh.
Like it looks like you
like
have
Lala. Does Lala have that?
I don't know what she has.
It's a natural thing, isn't it? Or is it
it depends who it is.
I don't know.
Listen,
They're going to Twitter now.
Yeah,
Now they're going to Twitter.
They're running to Twitter.
No, but I think I do need to do some kind of brow kit. I think that should be my next thing.
I told her that it should open and sing "Raise Your Glass." Like you open it
like one of those birthday cards.
Yes, please.
Kind of sing "Raise Your
brow,
your arch."
I would love to know something that you guys have learned from Lisa or you love about Lisa. It's so crazy that you're her partner, but I feel like you guys are also friends with her and you work for her, or you did work for her. You work with her with the show. What's something you love or something she's taught you?
This is, oh man, I don't know how satisfying an answer this is going to be because it's kind of vague. But I think she's just, she's been a professional spark. And just watching her, she's got like 4 shows going right now. Mm-hmm. She's got Vanderpump Dogs. She has 4 restaurants. She has multiple charities going. She has so many things going on. Just looking at her, I had to stop and take stock of what was going on in my life professionally. I'm like, man, you need to step your game up. Yeah. Step your game up. Because I'm a big momentum guy, and I lose momentum. I've lost momentum several times over the past few years, but I feel like I got it back now. I thrive with momentum. Yeah.
No, she's somebody that I constantly feel like a little ragged doll around. Like I feel like a little ragamuffin around her.
Oh, because she's always dressed up.
She's like, I never see her with a single hair out of place, like ever. But yeah, she's just, I feel like always just like very inadequate. But I mean, just in terms of like what I admire about her is a lot about her marriage with like Ken and the integrity that they both have with one another. And they always say, make sure you say, I love you every single day. And
I missed my I love you today from you.
I sent you like a huge thing of flowers today, like a huge one.
I mean, that's when like,
quick to forget. Jesus.
We joke saying our first wedding. I say as our wedding. I mean, we did kind of fuck up with our license. Didn't really kind of get officially filed initially.
But you were married. Like as a viewer, I'm like, they're married. You guys are married.
We were married.
In our hearts.
In our heart and heads, which is the main thing. But we got that sorted out. But she officiated our wedding. But we went through a lot. But she was, imparted a lot of wisdom on just sort of, how to make it last.
To build a beautiful
People are such
life.
fucking hall monitors. You didn't get a license. You know who gives a shit? I don't. You know what? If you guys told me that you were married and I don't give a shit.
If no one knew that, they wouldn't even think
Hall
anything
monitor
of
is
it.
the
so.
word.
Me and my husband, we got a
Wait,
license
what's the
right
hall
away. Who
monitor in
gives a
Harry Potter's name? The one that like storms through the halls and is like checking the halls.
Oh,
I'm a late adopter to Harry Potter, so I'm not going to get the reference.
Listen, back in my day,
I'm gonna have to Google it.
the hall monitors got beat the fuck up. It's like, don't be snitching.
there's too many characters, and I can't.
Hall monitor Harry Potter. Hold on, please hold.
You know, that's one like cancel hall monitors. That's I'm all about
Argus Finch.
that. Yeah.
Quit being an Argus Finch.
Yeah.
I want to know, a lot of people look to you guys as look up to your relationship. I feel like you guys have been through all different kinds of things. What are your key secrets to a relationship?
I think it's to continue to date each other.
Yeah. Yeah, don't feel like you have the other person fully figured out. That's a disaster. Let them grow and evolve, and we still struggle with this, but like, you know, it's so, and everyone says this, but keeping the romance alive is key, because it's so easy just to defer to our default mode of living together, where we just like kind of speak gibberish nonsense. We don't really do anything. We watch a show together. We barely communicate. We talk to the dogs more than we actually talk to each other, which is great. My favorite thing in life to do with Katie is nothing. I love it.
That's a secret. That's a secret, what you just said, though. Being able to do nothing with someone.
Yeah, but we make points to like do things together, like to go out to dinner, to date each other, to go on like dates with each other together, and to keep things interested. To also like, you know, be interested in the other, you know, hobbies. We have each other's things, you know, our own independence, our own identities.
What are your hobbies? Tell us your hobbies.
Ooh, Katie, put her on the spot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, mine are lame.
That's okay.
They're not lame.
Well, I mean, I like to do like Legos.
Michael loves
Hey,
Legos.
listen to me. When I get super stressed out, I'll go and buy a bunch of Legos and just sit there.
That's her meditation.
It is. Yeah. It's like very like cathartic to me. I like to do things with my hands. Like that's sort of like it's my like.
I call her Bub Villa. She's very handy.
Oh, I like to.
I thought you meant like you like to give a hand job when you said that.
No, I mean
handy.
like, but
hand
even
jobs
like
are back now. By the way,
people would make fun of me because there's like you're always like folding laundry. Folding to me, like I worked in retail, and like I loved being able to fold things because it was like, again, kind of like that perfectionist thing. Our house isn't meticulous at all. Like it's kind of cluttered. It's always like a little bit messy things.
It's pretty clean.
But when I fold, let me tell you,
Do you want to come over?
I fold like a
meticulous.
motherfucker.
I'm going to need your folding tips, and also to keep the romance alive, can we talk about how Michael rolled over yesterday and goes, "You want to poke?" Are you fucking kidding me? I'm like,
listen,
that is where we're at in our marriage.
Here's what happened.
Like,
I would like a poke, Tom.
I looked at
I
her
would like a poke.
and I got a little like wild hair.
you got a chub.
And she was like, "I'm doing my launch tomorrow." And I'm like, "Oh," and then like, then she waited too long and it was over. But
That is not romantic saying, "Do you want to poke?"
Here's the thing: the worst part about like sex in any point in life is the initiation, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But like especially during marriage, initiation. Oh, we have to take our pants off and stuff. Like,
it's
come
really
on,
hard.
I don't know.
Well, it's been really hard in this like quarantine lockdown, where it's like it's different when you've spent a day apart, you're busy, and then you come back together and you're like, hey, when you've just been sitting around all day, how do you like flip the switch and all of a sudden you're like, hey,
You say
you want
how
to
about
poke?
a poke?
Yeah.
Thank you.
you know, how all of a sudden you're like,
Laziest thing I've ever heard.
you just like spin around and like
I just kind of lay there and present.
You do that. Actually, when I get out of the shower, you just lay there.
Is it like I'm trying to?
No,
I'm trying to
if you want to
visualize.
see it, okay, it's
You
on
want me
his
to- let me-
back,
let me show
as
you right
lazy as possible, with his boxers to his knees, so he doesn't even take a full boxer off.
No, that's not true. These things. Yesterday, yesterday was a little wild. You're gonna regret not taking that poke one day. You're gonna say, "Fuck, I should have taken that extra poke."
You could grab a nipple.
One day I'm gonna
kiss
be
a
like,
neck,
one day I'm gonna be like 80
stroke
something
an
years
arm,
old.
like fucking something, Michael.
What's your conversion rate with the cold open? Do you want to poke?
Honestly, it's pretty good.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's not. I was actually surprised you said no.
I just don't love that word. It feels like I'm fucking
what?
like a 50-year-old.
One
like,
of my
come
favorite
on.
books is this book called Lonesome Dove, and it's about these. I won't get into it, but they call these things pokes, right? They just call me, "You want to poke?" And I was like, I kind of feel a little. I just moved to Texas. I'm feeling a little like Western. I'm like, all right, I mean, like cowboy, I'll get a poke. You know?
I dig it.
hey little lady, you want a poke?
What are you saying, Dave? Taylor?
What? Taylor's referring to the fact that I said on the podcast that my stepmom's advice on relationships is I used to bartend for like 5 years. And so I would come home at like 1 a.m. You know how tired you are after you're fucking working and dealing with all the personalities and everyone's cosmopolitan at 34 and blah, 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 blah. You come home and you're tired and he would want to have sex. And
God forbid.
So I called my stepmom and I'm like, oh, please, it's like so tired. Just like, what do I do with that? She's going to be like, just don't do it, sweetie. She goes, Lauryn, you rally.
Hey, you might need a refresher course with her.
So now I rally. But last night, the poke, like, I was just like, okay,
All right.
go beat me.
I got to be honest. If I saw myself last night looking like that, I would have maybe turned me down too. It was not my best
So
look.
I want to know Katie's relationship.
Are you looking at two people who are just glazed over right now?
Yeah, you're like,
We've been super
We're like,
lazy. Yeah. We're streaky.
We're like,
but
yeah,
we're hot. We're hot.
yeah, we're like, sure.
It's been an ongoing thing that we talk about.
I'm sorry
Yeah.
you have to have the image of me
No.
with my boxers on my knees. Like,
I was picturing the Al Bundy where you're just chilling.
No,
kinda
people-
like-
yeah, that'd be hotter
Yeah.
than the poke. Anything at this
Al
point would
Bundy's
make
such a
anything
legend.
spicier. Have we sent you guys woo in a vibrator?
I procured one myself.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
What's your relationship tip? You said date yourself or date each other.
And I date myself as well.
Yeah.
I'm pretty damn good at it.
Yeah, that's
But
a
yeah,
great.
I think making yourself interesting to the other person as well. So like keeping your like own shit going on too. I think when you become too much like a unit, like what else is there? I'm sorry. I think when I look at people that become so much of a couple, I'm like, ooh, like what don't you guys get bored?
It's
with each other?
admirable on some level, but yeah, sometimes people lose too much of themselves. That can be dangerous. Fall in love with yourself all over again. You know, reconnect with Schwartz, reconnect with Maloney, and then it'll only go to fortify the marriage, right?
So I think that it might not have a lot to do with the relationship, because I think your relationship with yourself is most important, and I think that makes you better for your relationship with the other person, honestly. And then I think
Yeah, love yourself sounds so cheap. It's almost like trite now, you know? It's like a buzzword, but I mean, it's true. You got to put work into yourself, and it's hard to be in a loving, balanced relationship if you really are struggling with some inner demons, or I'm not making light of any mental illnesses people are dealing with, but
Poor Tom has to give a disclaimer for everything he says. What has people done on Twitter to you? I'm going to get on Twitter and fuck people up.
I'm a neutered dog.
Oh my God, I feel bad. He has to give a disclaimer for everything.
I'm a neutered
he's
Tom.
always been like this. It's okay.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
This
so
is not
sweet,
because of
though.
Twitter or social media.
no, but listen, you guys are put under a different type of microscope than most people. Like it's just a fact. It's just true. Like things you say, even things you've said on this show, people will pull clips and they'll pull it out of like Lauryn and I could say wild shit all day and be like, whatever, podcast, who gives a fuck? But you guys say anything and it is just like, it's out there.
Yeah, no, they're
Yeah.
totally gonna do it. It's
Yeah,
okay.
for sure.
It's okay.
And we
but-
love a good roast. We're all for it. Like I love getting roasted. And again, some people should be held accountable for things they say, but it just gets too.
There are people who've made careers creating social accounts just based off what you guys fucking say. Like that's
I know.
that's true.
That's
Yeah.
wild
It'd be
think
fun to
about.
do a Vanderpump roast, like get the whole cast and do a roast on each person.
That would be so fun.
It'd be fun.
terrifying.
That would be a
We
good
did that with
idea.
Jax like season 3, and it was really fun. He had just started dating Brittany, and her mom was there. It was really funny. I don't know if you guys remember, but he was a great sport about it.
Everyone's having babies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you guys get asked this every fucking second,
Yeah.
and you can tell me to shut up, but I know the audience already asked 100 times I'd be remiss not to ask. Like I have to ask, yes or no?
Yeah, that's the plan.
What's the time
One
frame?
day. What's our time frame?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, listen, like, there's some stuff like he's working on right now. Like, I mean, listen, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen
I
when you
think-
want it to happen,
yeah,
and
well,
it's right for you.
And it's like people are like, but you're never gonna be. It's not like we're not ready right now, but I think
We both want to bounce back after this last year.
I don't
I've-
blame you.
I
It's
lost
fine.
my rhythm
the thing
completely.
is, we did actually try this past summer. We're like, you know what? Like maybe like right now where we're just sitting at home, like let's see if we could like make this happen. It didn't, and now that like shit's opening back up, we're like, let's just like hold off a little bit longer. but not too much longer.
We're gonna make
but
some
I don't.
babies.
But I don't know. I don't know.
Go home after this podcast and ask her for a poke.
No.
I think I'm just selfishly asking you because Zaza needs a friend. Zaza doesn't have any friends in
But
quarantine.
you guys moved.
I know. But so what? We're back here still. She needs a friend.
But
Can we
wait,
talk about your guys' old condo?
we used to live across the street, and that place took forever to get built.
And I've had some of my best moments walking back and forth, deliberating how I'm going to propose to Katie right in front of that whole space right there is very near and dear to us. I love it. And
It's a great. I mean,
You
that's
didn't
a great
tell your
area.
story about
No,
Tom.
well, I was like, oh my god. I'm like, there's that fucking guy Tom. I'm like, he's better looking in person. I'd see you at Gelson's over there. I'm like, do I go up? I'm like
True.
one of those weird dudes that goes up
True.
and fanboys.
You guys are better looking in person. I mean, you're gorgeous on the
Well,
show,
I would
but
see
you
you,
are
and then I'd
in
see
person. You guys
Chris-
are even like more magical.
you guys are projecting your beauty onto us.
no,
No.
We're being
but
serious.
it was. But I remember that you guys were like all in that area, and I bought a condo there in 2014. So like you must like probably around the same time you guys were all there, right?
We probably had just moved.
Just moved.
But you were like in that area.
Still Kings.
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
just south.
That's a great. I mean,
I can
honestly,
only imagine Tom walking down the street to Gelson's and people shouting out their windows. Where can everyone find you to leave nice comments? I want to challenge everyone who is listening to this podcast to go leave Katie and Tom a nice, uplifting, positive comment.
Wow, that would be lovely.
God, what a plot twist.
It's like, what the fuck is that?
How about in person at TomTom? Not on my social media. Meet me at TomTom in about 3 weeks, cautiously optimistically.
And on social media, Tom.
Oh, yeah, I'm TW Schwa, TWSCHWA. This has been awesome. By the way, before we go, you guys are crushing. Can we talk about all your success, the empire you've built? Look at this backdrop. This is the dream of so many, and you're
That's
living
nice.
it.
We got a long way to go. That's very nice. Thank you.
Well, we were until now. We're going to be canceled. Now, this.
No way.
Where can
this is
everyone
the
find
end.
Katie? Follow Katie. Katie's so cute.
You follow me at Music Kills Kate.
Why does music kill Kate? I don't know if I've ever asked you that.
Because I haven't changed my phone number. I'm not going to change my
I respect that you haven't
handles.
changed it with everything that's gone on in your life. I respect that it's
Tom,
like you
she's
kept it the
trying
same.
to keep interesting
not?
for
Because
you.
I
You
like-
don't need to know everything about her.
Okay.
She'll tell you later at a date night.
I like consistency. Yeah, you know what? Because I like music. Always have. I used to have a music blog, and that was when I created my handle. So it lives.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna come into TomTom. I'm trying the Bubba's Tacos.
I'll meet
Text
you
me
there.
when it's open. I want to come.
Get the Four Loco
We'll
relationship.
pregame, we'll pregame at your guys' place or in the studio here.
100%.
We're doing
Yes.
it.
Michael will make you a relationship ender.
No. I want to.
He might ask all you guys for a poke.
Yeah. Listen, you give me a couple relationship enders, tequila Katie. We're throwing pokes left and right.
You guys are an incredible couple. You can come back anytime. I feel like I could have asked you 100 more questions. Also, definitely go listen to my episode on Katie's podcast.
Yes.
Talk about that. It's with Dear Media. It's fucking crushing it. What episode? We don't know.
It's like one of the earlier ones.
Okay.
And you're going to love me.
You're going to love me. It's so cute. Thank you guys both for taking